Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So a bit of bad news to start off with. As you can see, Google has sent me this email to say that, and you can see this is not a spam email as all. It's coming from google.com and it's coming to me. And they have decided to cancel my Google AdSense account. They sent me some warning emails earlier on that they weren't happy with my content and, blah, blah, blah. Ukraine, blah, 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 truth, blah, 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 and all that stuff. So they have recently cancelled my payment account. So I've got a few other options I can do. I've started a new channel. So I'm asking you kindly to subscribe to that channel and watch those videos. It'd be very helpful. So at least if I can get that channel going, it will kind of monetize me. I'm also asking for support as well. If you can kindly support the channel while all this is resolved, I would really appreciate it. Or you can just buy me a copy or something. So you're welcome to join my locals or Patreon. The links are in the description, and I really appreciate your help for this. And anyway, let's carry on with the show. In today's video, I'm going to be talking more economics. And I'm also going to show you a way how you can make money out of this really bad situation that UK is facing right now. So as you know, the UK bond market is not doing very well. Nobody's buying British bonds, mainly because the interest rates are very high. The pound is falling. The government cost of borrowing is increasing. Yield prices are rising. All these factors together means that the UK bonds are not very attractive for investors. So the Bank of England has actually come in last week, and you can see here from this graph. So looking at the graph for the whole month, you can see around 22nd of September, this is when the bond market in the UK crashed, and it started going further and further down, and it went down as far as 1.07, almost to parity with the dollar. And the Bank of England had to step in at that point, and they had to buy their own bonds, and they have spent, I think, 65 billion in terms of buying bonds. However, they did not say at the time when they will stop this bond buying activity. I think they just wanted the bond market to be stabilized first, and it did stabilize. As you can see, the pound rallied up a bit, then it went down a bit, stabilizing at this figure. Then the Bank of England mentioned that the bond buying will end on Friday, which caused a downturn in the pound. And then the Bank of England then turned around and said, oh no, we're not going to end it on Friday. We're going to find other ways to help the bond market, which has helped rally the pound. However, if you actually look at exactly what he said, and you can see here, he said the bond buying will end on Friday. So let's look what he said. UK borrowing costs have hit 20-year high after the Bank of England confirmed its emergency bond buying program. It will end on Friday as planned. So they're planning to end it on Friday. On Wednesday morning, it said all temporary and targeted purchases of UK government bonds, known as gilts, would stop. This has been the position throughout, and it's been made absolutely clear in contact with the banks at senior levels, the bank said in a statement. So they're very, very clear about ending this emergency bond buying program. And note the words emergency, by the way. This is not, when something is an emergency, it is not planned. So for them to say it's an emergency and then they say they will end Friday as planned, well, let me tell you something. Nothing can be planned, especially in this volatile market. What the bank cannot afford to do is to crash the bond market even more. If they stop buying their own bonds and then suddenly the bond market starts crashing again, the pound starts falling, what they're going to do? Of course, they're going to have to come in. They're going to have to start buying their bonds again. So when they say it's as planned or it's as emergency, it just tells me that they just don't know what they're doing. So this is what's going to happen. The government will stop buying bonds on Friday. The bond market will again collapse again like it did on September, and it will fall to its lowest level. I think this time it's going to probably go beyond parity, beyond $1. So it's going to fall very sharply, and the Bank of England is going to step in again, and they're going to start their bond buying program again. And all of this money that they are borrowing, they're going to have to print all of this money, by the way. It's not free. And for them to be printing all of this money is going to cause more inflation, and it's just going to suffer. The British economy is just going to suffer long term. They're talking about quantitative tightening. However, they cannot tighten this market. I think the British economy is absolutely screwed. Sorry for the language, absolutely screwed. This is the result of reckless money printing that they've done, reckless policies, reckless foreign policies of the governments, reckless money borrowing, reckless sanctions war with Russia, putting China on the threat list. I can go on. It's just reckless policy, one after the other, one after the other. And I just think it's too little, too late. There is no magic wand that's going to fix this. If the Bank of England stops buying these bonds, the bond market will collapse, the pension fund will collapse. You will see a lot of pensioners, angry pensioners out in the streets rioting. It's going to cause mayhem. So they're going to have to come in and stop this from happening. They've got no choice. So one thing that's definitely going to happen is that the pound will crash. It will crash, then the Bank of England will come in, will step in, will be forced to step in, and will be forced to buy bonds again. So this is why I think this figure right now, 1.137 at the moment, is a very, very good figure. And let's talk about how you're going to make money out of this. Well, if you are into Forex trading, this is how you make money. You basically buy a pair, US dollar versus the pound. You make money by selling the pound if you think that pound is going to fall. So you sell it at a high price, and then when the pound falls, you buy it at a low price. And it's the same with stocks. It's the same with business. You basically buy low, sell high, or you sell high, buy low. But basically, either way, you make money. So I think it's rallied to around 1.1379. If you compare it to how much it was around September 22 before it crashed, it was just around that figure. It was 1.1257 with the highs of 1.443. At the time of making this video, it's gone up to 11355. I think it might go a little bit further, but the time to sell is now. And I think the pound is going to crash tomorrow, which is Friday. So if you compare it to why it fell during September 22, that's when they announced a mini budget, and there was issues with the tax and cost of borrowing, the government's cost of borrowing, and all sorts of things. So the pound crashed really heavily. There's no mini budget going on right now. This is all down to the Bank of England, the fact that it's going to stop buying its bonds. I think it's going to go down quite far. Probably going to be around 1.08 or 1.07, I believe. Could even be 1.09, around those three figures. But we'll know for tomorrow. Then you will see the pound start rallying again after the Bank of England steps in. So again, guys, don't take my word for it. This is all my opinion. You're welcome to jump into Forex or not. It's entirely up to you. I'm just giving my thoughts and my advice. So if you lose money, don't come after me. Don't come to sue me. I ain't got none. I'm joking. So just to make matters worse, the UK is making an enemy out of China. They're going to put China as an official threat to the United Kingdom. The only other country which is officially a threat to the United Kingdom is Russia and Belarus. So they're going to put China in the same category as that. So I just love this article where they said that with Truss and the Tories, Britain doesn't need an enemy in China. If the US is confronting Beijing from a self-declared position of strength, the UK is doing so from an unmistakable position of weakness. So that heading is got a lot of hidden meanings to it, and what it's trying to say is obviously there is a trade war going on between the US and and China, and you can understand why the US thinks of China as a threat. You can understand because China is the second largest economy and it's going to be soon the largest economy in the world. The United States sees that as a threat because China is across the waters in the Pacific waters. You have China, and you obviously have everything that's going on with regards to Taiwan. So, in terms of all of those, you can understand why the US sees China as a threat, as a rising power, and they see a threat to their hegemony and also to the dollar as well. So they see a lot of threats. But I don't understand. I don't understand why the UK sees China as a threat. I mean, look at where China is in the globe. It's the other side of the world. You know, has China ever tried to invade UK? Has China gone into Buckingham Palace, steal and steal about 1.5 million treasures? This is what the British did when they went to the Summer Palace in Beijing. You know, absolutely burned the place to the ground, stole around 1.5 million antiquities, and still most of it has not been given back. So has the Chinese have the Chinese ever done that? Have the Chinese ever tried to go into British shores? Have they threatened UK in any way? You know, it doesn't make any sense why they put in Chinese as a threat. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. They're just following the United States, and they want to be the best puppet the United States have ever had. They're going for some Puppet of the Year award or something. It's absolutely ridiculous, guys. It's absolutely ridiculous. And just to understand, I mean, Britain is having the worst financial um, issue they've ever had for a long time. And this is when they need to have good relations with not only USA, but other countries in the world. And China is an important country. It's the second largest economy in the world. And during the 2008 financial crash, China helped United States. They were buying a lot of their bonds, buying a lot of debt, and they helped them come out of trouble. And if United Kingdom had good relationship with China, of course they would have come and helped the United Kingdom. They would have bought the bonds. You know, one thing about China, they have a lot of money, guys. They have a lot of money. I mean, this year alone, they have put $6 trillion into infrastructure projects. They're putting a lot of money into their housing crisis as well. So they're going to try and put some money into that. And just to give you an understanding, last month alone, the trade figures came out. I think it was during August, where it showed that the trade surplus between United States and China had reached 100 billion per month. So this is just for United Kingdom. And as you know, China has got trade surplus with most countries around the world. So you can imagine how much money they are making, how much money they have. They also have a population of 1.5 billion people. And I've got to tell you this, China has been driving in first gear for the past couple of years. They have been, they have been having a lot of zero COVID issues, but the exports have been rising. These exports have been going around the world, even though they've been doing it with one hand tied behind their backs. Eventually, these hands will be untied. They will completely open up. And once they open up, you will see a huge amounts of investment going into China. You'll see all of these people around China traveling around China, and they have been saving a lot of money past couple of years. Although you'll see them buying a lot of stuff, and money will circulate, and there'll be a massive boom in China. And even though they're going around with their hands tied behind their backs, their economy is still not doing very badly. I believe it's around 3% GDP as we are talking right now. And compare that to the GDP of the West, of United States, of Great Britain. The Great Britain's GDP has contracted, same as the United States. So it's still 3% better than the West, basically. So imagine when China opens up, they're going to have a whole lot of money, and you know it would have been nice for Britain to start having good relations with the rest of the world. I mean, when you come out of Brexit, you need to build relations with the rest of the world, because when you can't trade with your neighbor, you need to start trading with other major economies around the world. And if you don't do that, then what was the point of Brexit? What was the point of leaving Europe? If you can't trade with Europe and you don't want to trade with the second largest economy of the world, you don't want to trade with Asian countries. It's absolutely ridiculous how Britain's foreign policy has come into effect. And you got to ask yourself, why do we have such a bad trade policy? I'll tell you two words: Liz Truss. She was a trade secretary, by the way, and only two trades that she managed to kind of sign is one with Japan and one with Australia. And if you look at the actual trade description, both Japan and Australia have better deal than us. So we have in fact weakened ourselves, signing all these ridiculous trade deals. And look where they are on the globe. They're in the other side of the world. So to trade from Australia and trade with Japan, you're going to have to send ships all the way there. And how much does it cost? Because you just have to look at the oil prices and the gas prices. It just doesn't make sense why you would have trade deals with somebody in the other side of the world. It's much easier to trade with your neighbors. We are part of Europe. It makes it easier to trade with Europe. So what is the point of Brexit if you're not going to trade with your nearest neighbors? Because one thing's for sure, petrol prices, gas prices are very important now, because you need that to transport goods and services. And if that is too expensive, then there's no point trading with somebody in the other side of the world. You just have to look at the figures. If you're going to trade something and it's going to cost hundreds or even thousands of dollars to transport it, is it worth it? Of course it's not worth it, because at the end of the day, the consumers will have to fork out the cost, and they're not going to be willing to pay that much. They've got cheaper alternatives. It's much cheaper to transport goods from China to Australia or China to Japan rather than UK to Japan or UK to Australia. And guess what? It's much cheaper to make in China. So they will be much better in much better position in terms of trade than UK is. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So this guy who says that UK is doing this from an unmistakable position of weakness, of course, they're just shooting themselves in the foot. It's the same way as placing sanctions on Russia, shooting themselves in the foot again, picking up rocks and dropping it on their own feet. This has been UK's foreign policy for a long time, and they're going to be carrying on with it. Absolutely ridiculous, guys. I just don't understand British politics and British foreign policy. They've absolutely gone bonkers. Absolutely gone bonkers. So anyway, that's all for today. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video.